All right. Hey YouTube, I'm Lucky, and today is Thursday, and so that means it's time to cover the TWAB. And Bungie has a crazy TWAB this week. They're doing a complete ability overhaul. I think it's one of the longest TWABs they've ever had. I mean, this thing is insanely long. I'm going to abbreviate everything for you. I've already read through every single detail, so I'm going to abbreviate it all for you, save you some time, and we'll be discussing everything in this video right here. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. The winds of change. Basically, what they're going to be doing is they're adjusting the ability cooldown times to be different from every different subclass. So regardless of whether you're Titan Hunter Warlock, whether you're Solar, Arc, Void, Stasis, usually, minus Stasis apparently, but usually your ability cooldown times were roughly the same, and then obviously you would adjust that with mods and such. But they're completely separating all that quite a bit, and they're going to have abilities that are much stronger have a much longer cooldown, and abilities that are much weaker have a much shorter cooldown, simply put. And one of the best examples they give with that is the Flux Grenade. Its cooldown is going from 82 seconds, that it is right now, to 182 seconds. But it will one-hit kill in PvP, so it'll be like those solar grenades back in D1 Year 3, if you remember that. Those were so good. They could one-hit kill in PvP. And so this seems like a decent balance change. I will say that one-shot kill grenades is definitely a big problem. A lot of people are going to be quite upset about this. This was definitely a big problem back in Destiny 1 Year 3. But with this crazy low cooldown time, maybe it won't be as big a deal. They also did remove projectile tracking, but they did add aim assist. So that's to balance out, mouse, keyboard, and controller users a little bit. So the throw speed is increased by 117%. So we'll see how this thing operates in the sandbox when it does come out. But it sounds like it'll be pretty crazy. And obviously this is only on Arcstrider, which is probably one of the most underused classes currently in PvP right now. I don't really see that many people using it. The super is just very slow and sluggish, and all of the mid-game abilities are kind of just meh. So that's that change. And then onto the Firebolt, which is going to be, Solar Warlock, and it has reduced the base cooldown from 82 seconds to 64. So it's got a reduced cooldown, and they reduced the damage from 90, which it is currently, down to 65. And in almost all of these instances, what they're doing as they do these changes to PvP, they're leaving everything in PvE or buffing it, because I think they're very trying to be careful to not upset people and ruin the PvE experience for all these subclasses. So that seems like a pretty crazy change. Let me know your thoughts about that in the comments down below, and we will move on to the next system. Everything is going to have these cooldowns. They're going to have these timers. Things are going to need to be updated with time, but right now it's set to like tier 3 and stuff like that. Nothing too crazy there. And then they say one of our design goals this year was to reduce the amount of ability spam in Crucible and put the focus back on gunplay. And that one really hits home with this one a lot. They want everything to be focused on gunplay and your abilities, your supers. You got your grenade, your melee, your super, your class ability. All of that needs to be secondary to gunplay inside Destiny 2. And this focus overall does seem like it will really do that. Obviously, people run around with one-hit kill Flux Grenades might be a bit crazy, but with those crazy cooldown times, it shouldn't be too big of an issue in my mind. We'll see them. Into the fray. Now they're talking about supers in this next category here. And supers can get pretty crazy. So first they talk about the uptime in PvE has not been changed at all. And obviously a lot of people play for their super, like in Trials of Osiris, for example. You spawn in, and the way supers work right now is that you can get passive super ability energy for just not doing anything. Like you can just sit in your spawn and you can get your super. So they're actually reducing that quite a bit, and they're creating two different tiers where you can have you can get your super energy by dealing damage and receiving damage. So basically, getting into a gunfight will get you more super energy, whether you win or lose, or at least this that you try to get into a gunfight will get you more super energy, more so than just being alive and sitting in your spawn or hiding behind a tight wall or running away. Reading the radar and running away. So it's actually really exciting stuff for super ability regeneration. It basically will reward pushing the engagement, pushing the fight, and you will get your super back significantly faster. Super should be less frequent in 3v3 modes than in the live game, where 2 supers per match is a fairly regular occurrence. So that would be really interesting. And they're also going to cater this a little bit to primary weapon play should have a noticeable benefit in super energy regeneration, because obviously you'll be dealing more damage, receiving more damage. And so they're scaling things a little bit more towards that. It's actually a really exciting new system. I personally like that a lot. Let me know if you like or dislike that. Obviously, we'll have to get into the game before we can try that out a little bit. And then they go over the tiers of super regeneration here. This one's actually really important. So the fastest regeneration super will be Well of Radiance because it's the weakest super, if we're honest. Tier 4 will be Blade Barrage and Silence and Squall. Tier 3 will be Shadow Shot, Burning Maul, Arc Staff, Nova Bomb, Thunder Crash. Tier 2, Golden Gun, Chaos Reach, Nova Warp, Storm Trance, Daybreak, Sentinel Shield. And Tier 1, the absolute slowest regeneration, Spectral Blades, Fist of Havoc, Hammer of Soul, Glacial Quake, and Winter's Wrath. All the most powerful supers, getting the slowest regeneration. And the weaker supers getting fast regeneration, sort of balancing things out. You know, do you want to use a weaker super but get it first? Or do you want to use a stronger super, but later on in the game you'll finally get that thing? So it's definitely a really good balance change, and I'm actually kind of excited for that, because right now it's just been roaming supers are it. You know, use a roaming super, you can win around with that. But with this new system, I think that there actually will be a lot more viability for some of those weaker supers, and I think that people will probably crutch a little less on abilities like their grenade, their melee, last ability, super, etc. So that's pretty exciting. Then taking down a notch, let's talk about non-super abilities for a moment. In the 527 TWAB, Kevin shared our foundational pillars for the role that we want abilities to play in the PvP combat sandbox. As a quick refresher, this is where we want to be. Weapons are the primary way players engage in combat. I agree with that. Non-super abilities accentuate or augment the combat, but should rarely solve an encounter by themselves. Abilities have clear strengths, weakness, and counterplay. I like that. Build crafting is rewarding within the moment-to-moment combat loop of Destiny. We're not there yet, and they're going to continue to go on. This will be with the 30th anniversary. And again, they're keeping PvP energy regeneration separately from their PvE values. They keep going over that again and again and again, because I think a lot of people would be like, what the heck? I love these abilities in PvE. So they're pretty much everything across the board that they're nerfing in PvP in regards to abilities and supers, they are buffing on the other side. Especially grenades. In PvE, grenades should actually be really strong now from what they've been saying. Subclass neutral game perks. So these perks have had their ability energy regeneration reduced by roughly 50% in PvP. So these are like the mid-game abilities that you see a lot of people use, like Whisper of Shards. That's the Stasis one with Shatter Dive. Arc Web is that Arc Warlock one that's just so strong and just chains over and over and over again. Rising Storm, Ionic Traces, Electrostatic Surge, Aftershocks. Inertia Override is that Mistletoe one that a lot of people use. Benevolent Dawn, Practice Makes Perfect, and Dark Matter. Those are getting nerfed pretty hard, so that way if you're in the middle of combat, you're not like sort of looking to or crutching on that ability regeneration. Here we go. We got Subclass in super perks. And then we've got Everlasting Fire and Trample are getting nerfed. Those are when you're in your super, you could hit your Fist of Havoc, you could kill someone, and then they would respawn, and you could literally run all the way across the map and kill them again. And so they're actually reducing that cooldown quite a bit, so that doesn't happen nearly as much. And now a bunch of exotic armors are getting hit. The ones that are very focused on abilities are getting hit pretty hard. We got Frosty's, Heart of Inmost Light. All these are getting nerfed. Controverse Hold, Doomfang Pauldrons, Shinobu's Vow, Crown of Tempest, and the Stag. And again, no changes to PvE on really any of these, so keep that in mind. And then armor mods. There's a bunch of armor mods that are very, very OP. For ability regeneration inside PvP, and these definitely needed to get nerfed. These are probably some of the most notorious ones right here for ability spam and ability regeneration in PvP. Melee Kickstart, Grenade Kickstart, Utility Kickstart, Perpetuation, Holstering Detonation, Focusing Strike, Bomber Outreach, Dynamo Distribution, Momentum Transfer, and Impact Induction. So definitely a good change overall if they're trying to reach their goals of getting everyone to focus more on gunplay rather than on ability spam and ability usage. So very, very long TWAB so far, and there's a little bit left here. Stasis Crystals do a lot. Basically, they're not going to one-hit kill in the future, which is going to be awesome. This is all the nerfs that they're going over. Instead of freezing people now, it will just slow them. So Shatter Dive is going to be nerfed very hard. They said that even if you were to throw it right on top of someone and slam it, it shouldn't kill them. So keep that in mind. Shatter Dive getting the hard nerf, which has definitely been on the cutting board for quite a while. A lot of people have been wanting that. And we're going to talk about Hunter's Dodge getting a harsh nerf here. It no longer breaks projectile tracking. Marksman Dodge, Tier 10 mobility, cooldown increased from 11 seconds to 14 seconds. And the base cooldown is unchanged at 29 seconds. Gambler's Dodge, Tier 10 mobility increased from 11 to 18. And base cooldown duration from 29 to 38. So keep that in mind. Dodge is getting the hard nerf. So rest in peace out there, Hunters. I'll probably still be playing Hunter after this, but we'll see. That hurts, definitely. Revenant getting nerfed pretty hard here. Shadow Dive obviously is going to be much less lethal, but it will be much stronger in PvE, so it might actually be a viable strat to use Shadow Dive and the Stasis Hunter in PvE. We'll see. Top tree Arc Strider. Combination blow reduced base cooldown duration from 96 seconds to 15, so that's a buff for the top tree Arc Strider, which you definitely needed that. And then bottom tree Nightstalker. This one is probably one of the crazier ones. Reduce the base cooldown from 96 seconds to 75 seconds. That's pretty crazy. People are going to be going invis way more with that bottom tree Nightstalker, so keep that in mind if you're out there. Titan, shoulder charge is getting the harshest of nerfs in some ways. It will get buffed in some ways, but it doesn't one-hit kill anymore, which is kind of its strongest attribute. Now that it doesn't one-hit kill, the sprint activation time is going to be reduced from 1.5 to 1.2. They're going to increase the range, though, to make up for it not one-hit killing. And the targeting cone will be increased by 10%. And increased damage versus PvE combatants by 25%. So keep that in mind. Doing a bunch of nerfs of that. Seismic Strike, Arc Shoulder Charge, Shield Bash, and Hammer Strike are all getting changed. No more one-hit killing, which will be very unfortunate. So, and then the Hammer Strike, the solar one, and they're taking it down because that has the damage over time. So, unfortunately, that even won't one-hit kill either. All right, the Barricade, the Towering Barricade has been so good for so long that they're trying to increase the cooldown by a few seconds, and then they're lowering the cooldown of the Rally Barricade, the little half wall on the Titan. Behemoth, this Diamond Lance is getting a big buff for PvE. This might actually be really good in PvE now. With all you're going to be making it from so many. Now spawns a Diamond Lance, killing a PvE combatant with a stasis weapon. That's going to be crazy. So we'll see how that works out. Might be some behemoths out there in PvE. Bottom tree Striker, knockout, gets the melee lunge and melee lunge range and melee damage bonus now deactivate after a melee kill. And then we got Trample, super energy gain from Fist of Havoc. Light attack now decays to a minimum amount over 3 kills. Like we talked about, Trample gets nerfed. Knockout getting nerfed. Frontal Assault melee. The cooldown goes from 82 to 106. A little bit nerf there. Fist of Havoc. Nerf. Warlock. All right, here we go. The Warlocks have always had an issue with their melee. Their melee is actually slower than Titans and Hunters, if you didn't know that. If you were to stand a Warlock right in front of a Hunter and they were both melee each other at the exact same time, the Hunter would win. Because the Warlock has a slower melee, but to make up for that, it has a little bit more range, as 1 meter range extension. So they're removing the 1 meter range extension, and they're making Warlock's melee at the same rate of punch, I guess. And so because of that, that will balance things out a little bit more when you get in those slap fights with Warlocks. If you're a Warlock main out there, you probably enjoy that a little bit. So then they're also nerfing Handheld Supernova, so that doesn't one-hit kill as well. So no more Handheld Supernova one-hit kills. I don't really see anyone using this much anyway, so nerfing this is pretty harsh. But they are buffing it pretty substantially in PvE with increased damage. So it does knock people back more, so maybe it'll be more of a mid-game ability for use for something like that. But overall, that definitely sucks for the Nova Warp Banes out there. I mean, they were thinking about sunsetting that for a little bit. Now it gets nerfed, even though I really don't think anyone's using that. But it is what it is. We'll see how it operates once all that goes live. Shadebinder. All right, we've got Winter's Wrath. This thing is easily the strongest for shutting down supers. If you freeze them and then explode it, it kills all the roaming supers. They're going to make it so it takes 2 of those now. So you're going to have to freeze, explode the roaming supers. That's the only way you're going to shut them down. So keep that in mind. That's going to change quite a bit. Not going to be the best for those Stasis Warlocks out there, I guess. And that's all for now, folks. That's everything that they go over in regards to the sandbox. And then they go into a bunch of other stuff in regards to, bugs and issues in the game. But I want to get your thoughts overall on all of these changes. Are you excited for gunplay to be the primary focus of Destiny 2? I do think that is probably a better route to go, because people don't really look at abilities as like a fun thing to, watch or be a part of. Like, no one wants to see grenade spam or super kills or melee kills nearly as much as they want to see guns. Everyone's sort of obsessed with guns in Destiny. God rolled guns. The best gun, the best hand cannon, the best sniper, the best shotgun, you name it, right? Everyone wants to see gun play. I feel like that is probably the primary focus. The heart of Destiny 2 PvP should be focused on that. And it seems like the abilities will still remain very strong in PvE, if not stronger from this point on. So should be a fun change for PvE as well. But overall, I think that the overall PvP skill ceiling will be raised significantly because of this. And it would be definitely exciting to see people push the engagements more. If you want to get your super back faster, sitting in your spawn doesn't do you any good anymore. You got to push out there. You got to get in those gunfights, and you will get your super back that way. and you're going to have to use that gun as much as possible. You're not going to be able to sit and you know, throw grenades from the spawn or things like that, hide behind a Saitan wall, etc. So overall, I'm excited. I think this is 9 out of 10, a good change for everything. The one-hit kill Flux Grenade is a bit questionable for me, but other than that, I think everything else is good. Those are my thoughts and opinions, and that's a wrap on this video. Make sure to subscribe with notifications on if you did enjoy. Smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Later.